Welcome back to SL. Chennai speaks out. Public display of affection. Is it a private matter or a public nuisance? On to our second round. It's called cross-examinations. Starting with Team 2 first, Shihan Hussaini and Kannan. Shihan, to you first. Public violence, like a police officer being hacked to death in full public glare as a minister's convoy watches, is okay?
Definitely.
Urinating in public is okay?
Definitely.
Smoking in public, despite it being an offense and despite all of us becoming passive smokers, is okay, but public display of affection is not.
Please, we all stood applauding testimony to the hollow discussions. We hear the debate is not about holding hands, it's not about giving a pat, it's not about a mother hugging somebody. It is about vulgar display of affection. Otherwise, the debate would not have happened at all. What are we talking about? Please, they are talking about nothing. They have no substance in the arguments at all. She's talking about vulgarity is in the eyes of the beholder. If you look at vulgarity, please forgive me for asking so. Would you be able to come here in public and kiss mouth to mouth your own boyfriend? Would you be able to do that?
All right.
That is public display of vulgarity.
Kannan.
And you can't say, you can't say this is
all right, your time is up.
against
Your
the
time is up.
ethos.
Yeah. Who gives you the right to go and poke your nose? Are people of the moral brigade so jobless that they have nothing else to do that they go and poke their nose into what somebody else is doing?
So it's not a job to put a nose into others' subject, but you asked about urinating in public. It is the duty of the government to provide toilet and other system to the public. See, we are not putting our nose in.
Government provides parks and beaches also.
No, see, it is for the government to provide health to the public. Either it is a bathroom system or whatever it is for them to provide it. See, talking about this, lakhs of people live in the streets. They have the physical relationship in streets. We are not disturbing them. But in the name of freedom, who want to display their vulgarity, we are against them.
All right, point made. Shihan Hussaini, to you next. There are double standards here in society, Shihan. I know a lot of people, those who speak against public display of affection, cite various examples, like in a movie theater, a couple getting cozy there. They say they're getting distracted there. But then, the people who go to watch movies, many of them go on the basis of how many intimate scenes are there in that movie, and they clap, cheer and hoot when the hero kisses the heroine. But otherwise, if somebody is getting cozy, you have an objection.
We are talking against the public display of affection, not looking at a movie and seeing whether you applaud a hero or a heroine in a movie. Shweta was talking about embracing diversity. We are a diverse nation, but we are not going to embrace perversity. We are just against a public display of affection which goes overboard.
All right. Kannan, to you next. That's well within the time, which is great. We speak about Indian culture and our ethos. As we said earlier, the land of the Kama Sutra of Khajuraho, of various places of worship with erotic inscriptions, where bigamy is the order of the day, sometimes you could say. The concept of the Chennaispeaksout-Episode is also there. You don't talk about that, but you talk about public display of affection.
Unless and until it becomes an issue, it's not going to irritate or it's not going to do sin to others. But public display of affection is against the culture. See, whether it is Hindu, Christian or Muslim, they follow this Indian culture.
The so-called offensive behavior or so-called provocative dressing of women, like for instance Shriya Saran's short skirt, and all that's being severely reprimanded. But crimes against women, from rapes to dowry deaths, almost go unpunished in our country. Do you people take up cases of, as she said, of husbands beating their wives? Is it because you latch on to a celebrity? You latch on to a celebrity because it guarantees you publicity.
Let me tell you very clearly, I am here against public display of vulgarity, perversity, but I am not for moral policing.
We said affection, we never said vulgarity.
I am not for moral policing.
All right, okay.
I am the man who raised the issue against Shreya. The way she dressed up in front of a chief minister like Karunanidhi, whether we accept Karunanidhi or not, it's not a problem. But he is the elderly person of Indian politics. We know how to behave in front of an elderly person. So that is why I objected her attire in front of that chief minister.
Yeah, but when Jackie Chan and
even Mallika Sherawat, even on Mallika Sherawat, it's me who raised that issue.
You don't watch any of her films? All right.
Sir, one more thing. We have a censor board for films. We have a censor board for films to say what to do, what not to do. But in public places, What they are doing, they are going beyond the limit.
All right, fine. Thank you very much, Team 1. Now to Arun and to Shweta. Arun, to you first. Public display of affection can easily turn sexual and can influence an impressionable child or a traditional couple.
Like what the opposition said earlier, vulgar public display of affection is known as obscenity. Obscenity is when you're engaging in a sexual act or is a show of genitalia. But I bet the people who were caught kissing, married couple who were caught kissing, were not doing that particular thing. When you're going to leave something as vague as moral policing to the masses, and where morals are so vague and abstract in a country, it's going to be impossible to monitor them.
All right, Shweta, to you next. There's a time and place for everything. When in public, behave yourself.
Again, I'm going to ask you this question, Sanjay. What is your definition of behave yourself? I mean, it varies from person to person. I'm just saying one thing, that I don't see, as Mr. Hussaini says, that it's just about public display of affection. It's not as small or trivial as just public display of affection. It gets broadened. It's about issue of like what people perceive as vulgarity. Then it comes down to dress codes. But then where do we draw the line? What is the line if moral police wants to draw a line? What is the line you want to draw?
All right. Next question to Arun. The principle of being a Chennaiite in Chennai. Would you go with bathroom slippers to a discotheque? Would you go in torn jeans for a job interview? What you do in the Bahamas, probably sunbathing there, you cannot necessarily do in the Marina Beach. So it has to fall within the realm of what is considered acceptable social behavior.
Why can't I do it? Because I'll be beaten up by police officers. Why cannot? I have a freedom of expression, but it's kind of vague. You know, I really want to go out in bathroom slippers. I want to dress up in torn jeans and go to the beach. Because it's a beautiful beach, it's the longest coastline, but I cannot. Because I'll be beaten up by some cop under some vague law. And I think that is...
Okay, next on.
If you go nude.
If I go with a woman.
No, I mean, when two people sitting at a railway station discussing their PhD thesis were caught by the Chennai police, insulted, embarrassed in public, and later on when we took a petition to the Chennai Commissioner, when the Madras University students took a petition to the Commissioner throughout the petition said we have suspended the cop. It was one such errant kind of active act.
All right, fair enough. Shweta, next to you. Many say that PDA, public display of affection, is just a fancy term coined by those who indulge in reckless behavior. Because if you really look at genuine, real public display of affection, sociologists would tell you that what Mother Teresa did was real public display of affection, picking up lepers and beggars from squalor, hugging them and caring for them. That is real public display of affection, not what is happening in Marina Beach or Elliott's Beach.
Again, I mean, it's a personal choice, Sanjay. I mean, I see public display of affection in just shaking hands with somebody or just being friendly with somebody and putting my hands on the person's shoulder. It's from person to person. That's why I'm saying that nobody has the right to define this is the norm and this is deviant. You cannot do that because it is different for person to person. The second thing is that you talked about children and impressionable kind of phenomena that it has on children. I'm saying that our culture is not open, and that's why most of the problem that we see in our culture, in people's problem in understanding, accepting their sexuality is also because we have not been open.
All right.
And just one thing, as Mr. Kannan said, the government is responsible to provide certain facilities and it fails, and that forces people to urinate in public or walk naked in public or whatever. Government also had the provision of sex education in schools, which would make our children more aware about themselves, their rights, their safety. Why was that rejected?
Very valid point. Final question to Arun. If there's nothing wrong about public display of affection as it's practiced today, we're not just going by the textbook definition, as it's practiced today, would you do the same thing in front of your parents?
I wouldn't be engaging in a sexual action in front of my parents, but I think holding hands is perfectly all right because morals change with time. Culture
in Cambridge
is
or in Chennai?
Both, and I think I've done it. I'm proud to do that. I mean, it's all right. And I listen. Culture is not gospel, right? It's a way of life. It needs to change. It needs to be dynamic. And what we need in our culture today is gender sensitization.
All right, that's well put. Thank you very much, both the teams. We'll slide into another short break on SL Chennai Speaks Out, and we come back. That's something you just don't want to miss. Have a look at the faces of the panelists just waiting. Look at Hussaini's posture. Don't want to miss that. That's called Crossfire. Stay tuned.